they're talking about. And as I explained, I'm Curtis Hunter again. As I explained at the viewing, which Mr. Johnson then said that I was not making sense, because my driveway at the farm, when I'm coming north from Morgan County with a truck, and a big truck, I cannot drive in. It's banked the wrong way. Therefore, I go to Gaysport, and what he did not understand there is, we come up 60, I go around Water Street, and back out here to 60, and then I pull onto the southbound lane of 60 and proceed down to my farm, which the way the driveway is banked, I can then make it with a large truck. And he said at that viewing that I was not making sense. I cannot understand why he can't comprehend what I said.
Okay, if he's doing that, and he's been doing that for all these years, this is what our reason, thinking, why would that make sense? Why would you travel 2.5 more miles up to Gaysport from your farm with a big truck, just to use Water Street to get turned around and go back another 2.5 miles all these years? Why wouldn't you fix your driveway so you could turn into it?
My name is Curtis Hunter again. Years ago, the school bus, and if anybody's familiar with that area, we have some very bad fogs in the morning. The school buses were stopping on State Route 60 in the crossways and the highway. And I therefore paid to have my driveway fixed and stone hauled in along the berm of State Route 60 so the school buses could turn in my driveway and along the highway without being at crossways in Route 60.
Beverly Johnson, we don't feel that it is a necessity to have the back streets in Gaysport kept open for big 18-wheelers to be traveling on. Why would a township the size of Blue Rock Township be responsible for roads so that people can take their great big 18-wheelers up through there? There will still be a way through for a normal vehicle because the alley has been opened. There's still a normal way for a normal vehicle to come up that alley and get out. Water Street, then take the alley and back out onto 60. With no residents on that road, I don't understand what.
I am a resident on that road.
Isn't your address South River Road?
Yes.
Okay. On Water Street.
My name is Carl Derringer, and I live on that road. Originally, when Mr. and Mrs. Johnson came down to my house to ask me about signing a petition, I said, okay, what is it for? They said, well, it's to shut Henderson Road down. I said, well, I'm all for it. So I signed it. Now I find out that it's not Henderson Road, it's just where his home is. And to reroute down through an alleyway that they have just created. Water Street. So, therefore, I think it's wrong to shut it because I use that road virtually every day.
Beverly Johnson, you use that road because it is there and it's handy to you. You have another way out. That's what we're saying. We're not landlocking anyone. It's a convenience. When it is used, it's maybe just because it's a little bit of a convenience to use that back road. But you can still use State Route 60.
But I see traffic every day come down that road. Every day.
People do.
Dana?
I'm Dana Johnston. And Carl, when I talked, you come to a township trustee meeting about closing that road to start with. Because you told me,
I said the entire road.
now I'm talking, Carl.
Okay.
You told me that if the only time anyone traveled that road was at night, and it was young kids racing up and down the alley, and their lights was coming in your windows. Okay? So then I don't know if Dave Kessler's your son-in-law or what, but he's got a place on the road. We got concerned about closing the whole road. I talked to Dave and he said, well, if they close that road, Hunter might come in and build a fence down the middle of it. He said, I can't get my boat through there. I said, well, there's an alley that can be opened up that's never been vacated. I said, we can reopen that alley, and then you'll still have access. We won't be restricting anybody that way. So that's why we changed that.
At the time, that alleyway was not opened up. When you was talking to Dave about that, there was no alleyway there because they come to my property, surveyed it off to open that alleyway.
Doug, could you explain, the alley is there, it's not stone and gravel, but the alley has been there for the way I understand
The
it.
alley's been there as long as Water Street's been there, as far as physically on a piece of paper. The alley has not been used over a period of years. It's still a public access, public can travel on that. It's just not been maintained by the township in the same manner that the other roads in the township have been maintained. If Water Street would be, a portion of that would be shut down, a conventional vehicle, meaning a small car, truck, would be able to use the alley to go around. The radiuses might need to be worked on a little bit, or that needs to be ironed out if something larger than a passenger vehicle would need to use the alley to make the circle around Water Street.
What is the width of the alley? Do you remember?
It's
16.
probably 16 feet, the same as, that was all platted at the same time, so I imagine it's 16 feet.
Our survey shows 16 and a half feet, what the survey says.
I have a
Al.
question. At any time, the fire trucks down there, do they need that access to pump any water out of the river? At any time this has ever happened, I mean, you know.
They have done that.
Is there any
Prior
time-
to a ramp that was built down there on the other end of Dave Kessler's property, they used to back there and pump water out. Yes, they did.
At any time, I guess there's a fire hydrant on this side now. It used to be one on the other side and had a hose coming across 60 and they had to use the alley. But now that's been taken care of because the fire hydrant's on this side.
Right.
They don't have to use the alley. So is there any purposes, emergency vehicles or whatever, if the alley is closed that, I mean, you know, this would pertain to?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm Curtis Hunter, Wayne property owner. Again, it could be hard if the fire truck was pumping out of the river, and if the water line that's in there was not sufficient, that they would have trouble making a turn in and out of that alley.
Dana Johnson, how are they gonna make the turn in and out there if I build up the end of my property line, or if I put a fence up?
Well, the county engineer down there just mentioned radius and corners. Maybe they would tear the radius a corner of Water Street in your property. This street, again, Curtis Hunter, that street has been used as it is for years upon years upon years.
That gentleman here in front, please.
Les Armstrong, if that's the case, if they can do some radius work at that point, there's no reason why they couldn't do it at the alley also. You know, that would alleviate any problem with turning in. There'd be as much room on the 16.5 foot with the radius at that point as there would at the other end.
Anything further? Anybody else like to add?
I'm Robert Hunter. I own a lot in that area, and I object to the closing of the street. I would say one thing about the area has not been developed because there was not water in Gaysport. Gaysport has always had a water problem until there was a water line put in just a couple years ago.
I would also again like to make a comment for this Hunter. If this portion of the street